Well, it's the dead of winter. I mean that. Everything is dead and gray, and it's kind of not pleasant. And I wasn't exactly expecting to do another Thrifts this soon. But I was just wandering about today because I was bored, because everything is dead, and I'm like, hey, look, there's some stuff. So you know what? I'm going to film it. Let's go thrifting. On to a Goodwill that I haven't been to in a while with the bear out front. This is the Goodwill Shop, and inside, it's pretty much just a Goodwill. It's got a bunch of junk, cups, VHS tapes, things that nobody will probably ever buy, but hey, they tried. Also has one of the saddest electronics sections of any local-ish Goodwill to me, and there's just like nothing here. It is quite sad. Surprising though, over in the puzzles and board games, I found one lonely boxed PC game. This is Logic Quest by The Learning Company, and I did actually find a copy of this in another thrifting episode just in the jewel case, so I already had it, but I didn't have the box, and I need the box because it's a Learning Company thing, and Logic Quest just sounds interesting, so hey! And on to somewhere else that I've not ever been to in thrifts yet, that is Value Village. I've been to Savers before, but this is, the same company. It's a little bit different setup, and it's actually in North Carolina. This one's in Greensboro, and I was just traveling through there and figured, why not stop in here and see what they have? And well, it is a thrift store full of a lot of knickknacks, a lot of clothing, and a whole lot of really ratty-looking, ugly furniture. And you know what? I kind of like that. This is such a big store that they have so much of this in here that it goes from being like boring to really quite impressive. I mean, it looks like one of my maps that I put in The Sims or something when I'm trying to show off how many chairs are around. It's just like a warehouse of absurdity. This place is big enough that they even have really large kitchen appliances like this old school General Electric wood grain clad dishwasher. $25.25. I don't need it, but man, these buttons are satisfying. They even have some console TVs right here, like this pretty beastly RCA unit. It's not nearly old enough or retro enough looking for me to be really interested, but hey, I don't see these very often at thrift stores unless it's a really big one like this. Same goes for these little stereo units. I see them sometimes, but here they have several of them. This is one that was just hanging around with that faux bamboo thing going on in the front. I don't know why that was so popular for a time, but it was. They also had this monstrosity / work of art. This massive RCA stereo unit, all-in-one floor console thing with a record player, 8-track player, and a radio, and a spot to store your friggin' records right there inside. I mean, this thing is huge. Speakers underneath. I really like these kinds of things. I would probably never own one unless I had a massively huge house. Something I've always respected about Savers and Value Village is the way that everything is so organized. Like, everything, it just is. So glasses, cups, silverware, utensils, kitchen thingies, it's just all in its place and meticulously labeled and put together, and it's a lot of effort for stuff that I'm sure 90% of people will never buy. And if you ever go to one of these stores, always check the sort of back slatted wall where they have a lot of things hung up in little baggies. Sometimes you'll find some really cool little electronic goods. I didn't find much today, but I found things like Game Boy games and cool calculators and stuff tossed in here. Also on the back wall of media here is a place you want to check out. I had this copy of Cities Skylines. That was a bit of a surprise to me. The case is a little beat up, but I mean, like, the disc looked to be in good shape, and I don't know if it's one of these things that requires activation or something. I guess it probably does since it says digital download, so maybe this is useless, but whatever, it was a surprise to see it. Checking out the puzzles and board games, because I've always got to check out the puzzles and board games, and this caught my eye because of that Apple Computer logo. This is American Trivia Challenge, North Carolina style, and looking around inside, I didn't find much information in the paperwork, but after doing some really quick Googling, like 10 seconds worth, it seems that this was one of those games that was sent around to a bunch of schools all around the country. There was like one for each state, I think, and Apple Computer and Pepsi both sponsored this happening. That makes sense since both were sponsors of a lot of educational stuff in the 80s, and this one happened as well in the mid-80s. And Apple had a part of it, even though there's no Apple stuff otherwise, just a couple logos. Kind of interesting though. Ah, the electronics section. I like that in these stores because sometimes they carry stuff I don't really see other places. This was just fascinating to me. This is a little JCPenney sort of all-in-one multimedia thingy. It's got a little tiny TV, it had a radio, a cassette player on top, and I thought this lifted off too, but it's just coming apart. But yeah, it's a little solid state TV by JCPenney. Not a brand that I see very often, at least with electronics. Also happen to notice these tape units over here that are, they're not in the greatest of shape, especially this Yorks one, which I think was supposed to be more silver at one point. It smelled so much like smoke though, I think it was just smoked around to the point that it turned gold. Right up above here, they also had a Dell computer for $5.15, a Pentium 4 machine, and you know what? It's nothing special whatsoever, but for that price, it's kind of impressive, at least compared to what I'm used to in my area where the Goodwills will only sell Dell computers at around $200 that are a couple years old. You don't see machines that are slightly older like this for an actually affordable price anywhere. But the big reason that I came to this store on my trip across the state were these CRT monitors. They were still here last time I was here, and I actually needed some because I've had a couple that broke recently, and it's just sad. And I like to have my CRTs, and they're kind of hard to find out in the wild. Pretty much interested in all of these except this Compaq, which even though it's a very nice display, I just don't like the unit it's housed in. I think it's kind of ugly with the silver and black. But yeah, first up, trying this 17-inch ProView CRT monitor here, and it's a bit scratched up, but I think I can repair that. The display, like the tube, everything seems to be really nice. I haven't tested it yet, but I will test that later at the end of this video, and hopefully it's working. Same goes for this Dell. It seemed to power on okay, and the colors looked good. I have another one just like this Dell at home already. It's branded by IBM. These were just sort of generically put together by a bunch of different companies, but the tube in the picture in here is quite sharp, quite nice. It's in a black case. I would have preferred beige, but whatever. That Scepter one they had over there on the shelf, it didn't work at all. Okay, back in my area, and we've got to give the Lucky Rock some attention. Today, I gave it a little bit of a hair brushing. Does that feel good, Rock? And now that Christmas is over, Valentine's Day has begun. It's just sort of vomited itself all over the place here. A little bit of Easter thrown in as well for good measure. Checking out the computer-ish section, and there's some computer-ish stuff, like this computer-ish cleaning kit by ReadyForm. It had my attention as soon as I saw that it had a 5 1/4-inch disk drive cleaning diskette. How cool is that? And then I saw that it was from 1984, and then I opened it up and saw that nothing inside had been used. It's all still sealed in its original packaging in plastic. How cool is that? Checking out the DVDs and whatnot. A couple PlayStation 2 games I didn't have. Fur Fighters, Viggo's Revenge. I have no idea if this is any good, but I don't care. It's $1.50. Same goes for this right here. The Bible Game by Crave Entertainment. Oh, what a tagline. Learn about the Bible while you have fun, because I guess it's no fun otherwise. This is just the kind of obscure stuff I love to collect. Over in the case of glass is a Sega Genesis not made of glass. It's a Model 2, and I don't need it, but hey, it's a Sega Genesis, and it makes me happy to see it. Visually, it stimulates my cortex. There was also a little baggie of Leapfrog Dig goodies, little kids gaming system thingy that I have no interest in. This I had plenty of interest in, though. Oh my goodness, this is a 1972 original Magnavox Odyssey. What? The box looks to be in great shape. I looked inside of it too. Everything looked pristine. However, they were asking $275 for it, and that's a little above what I would like to pay, even though it's in such good shape and it's right here, and I wouldn't have to worry about shipping or anything, but no, no, not today, not for that. On the other hand, this is something I could never say no to. This is an Epson Photo PC. I think their first digital camera, actually. It's from 1995. Complete in the box. Still had all the stuff. It even had the original receipt of where it was ordered from, which apparently was America Online. I didn't know they sold cameras, but okay. Stick around to the end of the episode. I'll show some pictures I took with this. Oh, hey, it's one of those Elvis clocks that... Oh, crap, sorry. Anyway, yeah, it's one of those Elvis clocks where the legs go back and forth with the seconds. I kind of want one of these. I don't know why. I also really approve of this little answering machine from Radio Shack. Look at this thing, the wood grain, the design. Oh, I love it, and I love it even more when I open it up and see that it has full-size cassettes, and these, I don't think are endless looping ones. Some of these had endlessly looping cassette tapes. That simulated rosewood grain finish, though. Simulated wood. I mean, that's just like my middle name, I guess. At least my middle name is not basketball telephone. It's got a chrome hand, like straight out of Terminator 2, just holding this basketball up as telephone. Basketball phone. For basketball phone people. Okay, now check this thing out. I think it's super cool. It's got a cassette tape player on this King's Point thingy here on the top, but then on the bottom left, I thought it was 8-track at first. It was too small, but no, this is dual cassette. That's just like a different mechanism on the bottom there. So it's the same type. It goes in sideways like you would see on an automobile stereo system. So the cassettes go in that way. It even has a record player on top. Pretty neat little all-in-one unit. And I like that space-saving idea of putting this cassette tape in sideways. I guess it's space-saving. I guess that's why they did that. I don't know, but I like it. I also really like this little TV right here. It's a little Magnavox, like a 10-inch black and white television. It's not got enough wood grain for my taste, but 1984, I still would have gotten this if it were color, but it's black and white. So I already got my black and white small TVs covered right now. Checking out the toys and whatnot, and this isn't quite a toy, but I mean, it kind of can be if you try hard enough. This is a Koala Pad Plus, belonging to an art desk, apparently, at one point or another. But yeah, this is for the Apple IIe and IIc. My buddy David, 8-Bit Guy, actually did a video on these recently, and I have one as well. Didn't have the box, though, and I want the box, so I'm gonna get it with the box. That joke is too easy to make and possibly in bad taste. Moving along, and check out these books in this bookshelf. I'm always attracted to what appear to be collections of books that kind of all go together, like these Reader's Digest condensed books. And right below that were a whole bunch of books, much older literature here, early printings of things. And, you know, I actually have a bit of a collection of late 1800s, early 1900s books. This one's a 9th printing from 1935, a bit too new for me. Over in the VHS tapes, you never know what you'll find, man. Like, what is this? It's a birth video. How did this end up here? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe this has been recorded over with something else, but if it's a birth video, then somebody's gonna have an interesting time. Always got to check out the office supplies because things are tossed in here that are cool sometimes, and what do you know? Today is one of those days. This is a Zoom/VideoCam PPC. It's a full-color parallel port camera, basically like a webcam for your Windows 95 computer. Love that 90s artwork, and for $5 in the box, absolutely getting this. I was about to leave, and wow, that's a lot of candy. This odd to see candy at Goodwill at all, actually. And it just continues. I mean, look at this. Did somebody raid like a gift shop and just like, I don't know, there's too much, and then they just put it to Goodwill? You know, actually, that's probably kind of what happened, because I also saw around the corner a huge box of little knickknacks from a Minnesota gift shop. Like, they just little tin whistles and like keychains, all that said Minnesota. So I'm assuming a gift shop in that state just sort of went out of business, and somehow it ended up in a North Carolina Goodwill. Speaking of which, let's go to another Goodwill, because hey, it's right here and it's not snowing yet. As soon as I walk in, I saw this little guy. Check it out. So this, I've seen a lot of these kind of things over the years at different Goodwills, but never one that actually functioned as well as this one. And as far as I could tell, I mean, it was doing what it was supposed to. You type in numbers, you pull the little crank, and it actually would print them out. Little hand thingies will come up and right there in the paper. It's super cool to see one of these actually working. $15. I couldn't find any branding or model number on there, and it was kind of beat up and not really the kind of thing I collect, but someone's going to come across this and be like, holy crap, it's the blah, blah, blah. I've wanted one of these forever. Over in the electronics, this caught my eye immediately because of those MIDI ports right there, and yep, this is an M-Audio MIDI to USB adapter. $2.25. Awesome timing, since I actually just got a Roland MT32. This will come in handy. Over into puzzles and board games, and alright, here we go, my kind of thing. AOL's Point and Speak. Just say it and send it. Yes, speech recognition software, including headset and other stuff for America Online. They also had a box copy of Paint Shop Pro Studio. Look at that $80 price tag from Best Buy back in the day. I would have gotten this if it weren't just an empty box. And now it is snowing, but that doesn't mean that I can't go to one more Goodwill before it starts sticking to the ground, so that's what we're gonna do. And look, I might have missed out on How to Learn to Speak German by The Learning Company. It's got a gatefold box that actually opens in the rear. Don't see that very often. I'm not gonna get this though. Like, language software is just not my thing. Same with Multimedia Spanish here. I mean, it's in a big box, but I don't know. I have no interest in getting these kind of programs for the most part. On the other hand, this is my kind of thing. How to find anything on the internet. Oh my word, even that? Yes. Learn how to use your browser, move around websites, and print pages. Oh, I love this kind of software. Absolute timepiece of earlier internet. Quite a few VHS tapes in the store today, including a bunch of Turtles stuff. In fact, I was really tempted by a lot of these Turtles cartoon selection tapes. That's pretty awesome. I remember watching these a ton as a kid, renting them and whatnot, and they even had Turtles coming out of their shells. Alright, well, you can't always have the best taste as a kid. That's pretty much all I gotta say about that. And they're still trying to get rid of all the Christmas junk, and hey, look at this, it's a Philips USB cow. Just like I've reviewed in Oddware a year or two ago. It's actually empty, so either somebody stole the cow or it got lost. Either way, that's really questionable. Over in the puzzles and board games, and I ran across a selection here of NASCAR racing. It's quite a faded box there, colors all messed up. This is also the CD-ROM version, which I don't need, I already have it. I am looking out for the floppy disk one, and if you ever see the floppy disk one, get it because it is pretty rare. CD-ROM one, no, super common. Looking around the electronicals section, and I saw this, which looked kind of like a typewriter, but then I saw the Wollensak 3M logo, and what do you know? That's what it is. It's a thing from them, an audio device. I had a little microphone here, and I was really kind of confused. I thought this was I don't know what I thought it was, but then I saw this cassette tape area there, and all these other controls, and this is a really odd little device. Well, it turns out it's made for hooking up to certain Kodak Carousel and other compatible slide projectors. So I guess you have audio, either in the form of music or narration or whatever, to go along with your slide projector shows. And it syncs up and stops and pauses and whatnot with this machine. Kind of neat. Then I saw all these boxed electronics, and man, boxes, look at this. AM/FM stereo here by Sony, a Panasonic VCR, a JVC CD changer setup, and a TIAC R435X stereo cassette deck. Nothing I really want to get necessarily, but they're in the boxes, and that had just had my attention. I mean, because you don't really see people holding onto the boxes. Usually it's just the bare equipment, like this right here. This is an Ion Audio Tape 2 PC. And really, it's just kind of like a cheaply made cassette deck, but it has USB output on the back. And yeah, it's meant for archiving your cassette tapes. It's got some basic noise reduction, but it's not Dolby or anything like that. I don't know. These just seem really cheap to me, so I passed. Also passed on this, but look how cool it looks. Oh, this is a Zenith solid state Allegro radio/record player. I plugged it in just to see this display because look at how cool this is. Look at how cool. That is such a neat looking everything. And when you switch it from AM to FM, it has two different things that it goes between and two different depth levels. It looks amazingly 3D, like the text is floating in real life. Maybe not so much on this video, but fantastic looking technology. I want this on like a modern device. I really do. The record playing mechanism was completely busted, just ruined. I mean, really unfortunate there. But man, that display is just all kinds of super cool to me. And that is all for episode 31 of Thrifts, and here are the two CRTs that I got from Value Village. They cleaned up pretty nicely, and they work great. I mean, absolutely wonderful picture on both of them. Nice colors, sharp, crisp, everything. I'm glad I got these, because CRTs like this, SVGA ones, are getting tough to find, actually. In the wild, because people throw them away, and online, because nobody wants to ship them. And here are some photographs that I took with the Epson Photo PC digital camera. This thing shoots in 640 by 480 resolution, and man, it's got that just neat 90s digital camera vibe going on. I posted some more on my Twitter if you're curious. And yeah, otherwise, here's the stuff that I got. Found some PlayStation 2 games, some PC software, including friggin' AOL speech-to-text, a koala pad, a cleaning kit that has never been used from 1984, the Learning Company's Logic Quest, made it a USB device, and a 90s webcam of sorts. I'm happy with this stuff, and I hope that you were happy to watch. And thanks once again for sending in all your cool thrifting finds. Looks like you're having quite a bit of luck too, so yeah, maybe I'll just be able to keep thrifts going throughout this early crappy part of 2017. I was expecting to take a break, but you know, if I keep finding stuff, I'll keep making episodes. So yeah, wish me luck and stay tuned in the future. More LGR thrifts to come. Thank you very much for watching.